Turn off the video. So we're on.
Establish contact with your Martian friends.
Yeah. Turn off the video. So we're on.
Establish contact with your Martian friends.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I said we didn't need a project. It's a vote to represent the executive.
All right, everyone. All right, everyone. I now call us back to order. It is 3:07 and time to begin our business. But first, a couple words from some of our sponsors, from Maria Coyne, the president and CEO of the Cornerstone Fund, and from Tim Harris, the president and CEO of the Insurance Boards, not Church West.
Thank you. I get to go first because there are 5 financial ministries in the United Church of Christ. I'm going to talk to you about 3 of them. The reason I get 3 is because I am most confused with the other 2. So I'm from the Cornerstone Fund, and I want to first talk about our partner, the Church Building and Loan Fund. Cornerstone Fund is not the Church Building and Loan Fund, though we were born out of them in 1993, and since that time, we've grown to $120 million in assets. What we both do is make loans to churches and other faith-based organizations. We typically focus on churches that are 30 years old or older, and they typically focus on churches that are 30 or younger. But the truth is, there are many projects that we finance together. So we're locked arms and both have very similar missions. Another difference, though, is that they're endowment funded, and we sell investments. That's how we raise capital. Which brings me to our second partner, who I'm also confused with, which is United Church Funds. And United Church Funds is considered an institutional investor, which means they manage investments through funds for churches and organizations. They do not sell to individuals. Cornerstone Fund does provide investments to individuals as well as churches and organizations. But the truth is, we often partner with United Church Funds. If a church has a rather large endowment, UCF will put together a portfolio, and they include in that portfolio Cornerstone Fund investments as the fixed income portion of that portfolio. So we're happy to partner, but I know we get confused. I guess I would tell you that if you come to one of us, we'll hopefully get you in the right place. Cornerstone Investments, first of all, I want to thank all the investors in the room. I know we have investors in the room, and I think you can feel really good about the fact that not only are you getting a good return, but you're helping build the kingdom. That makes us much different from a lot of other financial providers. We sell demand notes, term notes. We have a kids club, we have IRAs, and we have 2 really exciting new products, which we've got some information about in the other room, racial equity giving bonus and creation care investment and loan. The racial equity giving bonus, if you agree to donate 10% of your investment to an organization that's fighting racial inequity, we will pay you a bonus rate on the remainder of your investment. There's information about that. Also, I brought some financial toolkits. If your treasurer doesn't have one of our financial toolkits, please pick them up. They're over in the event space. Lastly, Cornerstone Fund provides loans, and this is really the heart and soul of what we do. And we talk a lot about church the verb these days, not church the noun. It's more about what you do and how you impact your community and how you want to show up. A lot of loan options. We do lines of credit, bridge loans, permanent loans, pre-development loans for people contemplating property improvement. And we really enjoy the creative process involved in that if you start thinking about doing different things with your property. And we have expertise in the construction area as well. So I just want to leave you with our mission, which is joining together in faith to invest in and build community. And thank you for those of you who are partnering with the Cornerstone Fund. Tim?
Thank you, Maria. And again, thank you to all of the folks here in this room representing the Northern California Nevada Conference. Because again, this is really where the insurance board started so many years ago. We actually were incorporated in 1985. I know we started operating at about 1981, but this conference was really the first conference that joined on board to get the program started. As Maria mentioned, we kind of pinch hit for some of the other financial ministries so that we have an opportunity actually to cover as many of the annual conferences throughout the United Church of Christ that we can. And I'm pinch hitting today for pension boards in addition to my day job, which is President and CEO of Insurance Board. Pension board, typically their mantra really is that they operate at the intersection of faith and finance to provide a defined contribution annuity fund for employees of the United Church of Christ. They also handle some other denominations, but primarily what they do is provide that pension and annuity benefit, as well as health and welfare benefits plan to employees of the denomination. They also do a number of special fundraising types of activities during the course of the year, which benefit clergy. For the United Church of Christ, it is a wonderful, wonderful benefit, wonderful asset that that your denomination has with regard to pension and benefits. It's actually a phenomenal plan. I remember when I first took the role as CEO of Insurance Board, we obviously buy our health and benefits through pension boards, and we were just so incredibly impressed as a person who came from the commercial insurance world, just to see the breadth and depth of insurance and pension and benefits that were available through the pension board. So I would ask you to consider them when you're thinking about making, if you don't already participate, when you're making those decisions about your health and welfare and annuity pension benefit, that you think of pension boards. Pension boards is run by a gentleman by the name of Brian Bodiger. Brian is located in New York City. There's also information in the exhibit hall that you can find that goes into a little more detail about pension boards. The insurance board, again, we provide property and liability insurance for churches and affiliated denominations that are closely aligned, ecumenically aligned with the United Church of Christ. And I mentioned who those denominations were a little bit ago. I'll talk about them just briefly, but I want to say that we represent about 42% of the churches in the Northern California Nevada Conference, which is just a fantastic result. We would love to continue to provide insurance to as many churches who are interested in getting property and liability insurance. And as I mentioned before, we operate exclusively for United Church of Christ churches and any Disciples of Christ people that are here today through Church West Insurance Services. And Church West operates as our independent agent in this area that represents Insurance Board exclusively for property and liability insurance. The denominations that we serve are denominations that are closely aligned with the United Church of Christ, including our Formula of Agreement partners and Full Communion partners. And they would include the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, which is a Full Communion partner with the United Church of Christ, Presbyterian Church USA, which is a Formula of Agreement partner, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, as well as the RCA, which are the other Formula of Agreement partners. And we also cover the fellowship of churches known as the Alliance of Baptists. We operate under the premise that we provide a superior property and liability product that churches individually would have a hard time going out and obtaining on their own. We provide a comprehensive sexual abuse. We talked about that a little bit earlier today. It is becoming a hot topic today. Abuse, you can just pick up the paper and you hear about the erosion of the statute of limitations, which is occurring throughout the country related to abuse claims. And we feel that it is our obligation to do what we can to protect those who are most vulnerable. So we provide a very comprehensive product specifically around abuse coverage for churches and affiliated ministries. So if you have any questions about the services that we provide or that we could provide to your church, many of the services that we provide, the resources that we provide to you as members of the denomination and not just participants in the insurance program. So please feel free to reach out to us, and we would be extremely pleased and happy to provide whatever resources that we can to you. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Well, thank you again, once again, to the Cornerstone Fund and insurance boards and all of our financial ministries for supporting us and for supporting annual gathering. So friends, we have much important business for us today, but before we can get to voting on all of it, we need to be acquainted with our voting system. So I'd now like to invite up our Associate Conference. I am pointed in a different direction.
Quorum report.
Oh, we are gonna do that, of course, after we do our quorum report. So I would like to invite up the Secretary of our corporation, the Reverend Dr. Diane Weibel, to give our quorum report.
Thank you, Reverend Moderator. The annual meeting of the Northern California Nevada Conference of the United Church of Christ is held each year at a time and location to be determined by the Conference Council in accordance with the bylaws. This fulfills the requirement as a California religious corporation for such a meeting. At least 60 days notice must be provided to members via electronic means regarding the annual meeting in accordance with the bylaws. The call to meeting was published in Upwellings in March of 2022, with additional announcements in the newsletter since that time. This fulfills our requirements. As of January 1st of this year, there were 108 local church members of the conference in full standing in the 6 associations. Each local church is entitled to a minimum of 2 delegates, plus 1 additional delegate who must be age 30 or younger. Additional delegates are allowed for every 100 additional members or fraction thereof. Over 250 members to a maximum allowed of 6 delegates. In addition, all authorized ministers holding standing in this conference may be credentialed as voting members upon registration, along with association moderators and members of conference council who are not otherwise ministers or delegates. A meeting of the conference may transact business when more than 50% of the local churches of the conference are registered and credentialed voting members. No more than 50% of the voting body may be authorized ministers. As of Friday, June 17th at 8 a.m., there were 127 registered and credentialed voting members for this meeting. These members represent 59 churches, which is 55% of the local church membership of the conference. Of the voting members, 64 are lay people and 63 are authorized ministers holding standing in this conference, reflecting 50% plus 1 of the registered and credentialed voting members. In order to conduct business, 60% of those registered and credentialed must be present, which is a minimum of 77 voting members. Across our sites and with our online attendees, we have 100 voting members checked in and present this weekend, which is 78% of those registered and credentialed. Reverend Moderator, as Registrar and Secretary of the Corporation, I declare a quorum.
Thank you, Diane. I would like to now invite up our Associate Conference Minister, Daniel Ross Jones, to orient us to how we will vote today.
Thank you, Reverend Moderator. So for voting today, some of us have already had a chance to do that. The vast majority of us have already had a chance to do that as we had sent out a test vote to your email. Most of us have become acquainted with that. And we know that there are a couple of folks still having some issues. That number is very quickly dwindling. And we have the ability to see who's getting in. All of our folks remotely have been able to do that. It's folks here in this room that are having a little bit of challenge. That's okay. Some tips and tricks we've learned as one another are being our teachers. One of the things that you can do on your phone is disconnect from Wi-Fi, making yourself use your cellular data. Sometimes that works because in the background on the Wi-Fi in Sonoma State system, it's wanting you to re-log in. And if that hasn't displayed that capture page on your phone, you might not have been able to log in. And so the system kind of just gets into an endless loop. That's one way that we've heard people have been able to do that. Another way that you can do that, if you brought some other type of device, as we mentioned in our registration emails, you might want to bring more than one. And so, you know, sometimes we've already heard it works on a computer, it doesn't work on the phone. Why? The gremlins, that's why. But you might try those things. And then, of course, again, if nothing else, asking your neighbor for that assistance. As we go through the voting system, though, once you've done that test vote that you logged in, you don't have to log in again. Just keep that screen open in the background. So you're not going to receive another email message for this next vote. You just go back to that same screen where you voted on that test vote, and it's going to magically appear. As we call for these votes, you're going to get another one of those little orange buttons that's going to pop up on that screen, and it's going to magically appear. If you need to go back to that page to get it, there is going to be a push out message in your guidebook, or there's that voting guide that got attached to guidebook as well, which will take you to the main page. Each time, since we've got people voting here, we've got people voting in Santa Cruz, we've got people voting in Fresno, and we've got people voting from home in places all over and in between. Each time that our moderator calls for a vote, we're going to leave that voting open for at least 90 seconds. Or until a sizable number of the 100 that we just heard in the quorum report have voted. We're able to see that in real time, how those votes are coming in. If it looks like there's an issue and we might be delayed, I might flag our moderator, and our moderator might rule to extend voting for a longer period of time, but that target is going to be 90 seconds. Once that period ends, the moderator will announce that voting has ended. If you haven't voted yet at that point, your orange button is going to go magically away. And then through a decidedly low-tech fashion, I'm going to write down what came up on that computer and run it up here. And then from that, the moderator will announce the vote. If there are any questions or needs to redo a vote, we have the capability to be able to see that voting members have voted once and only once. We do not have the ability to see how they have voted. We have the ability to run a new vote if one is called for or respond to the needs of the business session on the floor. To make sure that all of this works, we're going to do one more test vote. And I will be responding to our moderator's invitation for that here in just a moment. We're going to have another test vote to see where things are at. And then I'm going to bring up two results from that to our moderator when that is done to let us know about time machines and stoplights. But that is where we will be going from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I would like to now call for the test vote on stoplights. So the voting will, so Daniel, please open and begin the voting on our test vote.
It is open. Yep, test vote 2.
So test vote 2 is currently open. You have 90 seconds if it's not quite up yet.
Ask for the test code and password again. it would be the same as before. You can refer back to your email if you've
Is
closed out.
that if you're getting prompted for an access code and password, that is gonna be on from your email that came through?
So far, 51 ballots have been submitted.
Just hearing some murmuring, you do need to hit
Yep.
submit.
We're at 90 seconds. We're at 90 seconds, 72 ballots submitted. $74 out of 100.
Voting will close in 10 seconds. A little bit longer, 20 seconds.
Okay. I'm jotting down the results one more.
Voting has closed. All right, so the results are in, and the number of people who voted to go back in time was 52 versus 45 for going forward in time. So back in time has it narrowly, very narrowly. And then on our second test vote, so those who voted for no lights, there were 25 votes. For those who voted for no lines, there were 53 votes. So no lines decidedly have it. So friends, as we move forward and move on, you will remember, or hopefully remember or recall, yesterday we adopted by consensus our agenda for today as well as our standing rules. Now that we have also heard our quorum report, I would like to affirm that those decisions also by consensus. If there is no objection to proceeding with our agenda and standing rules as were confirmed yesterday. Is there any objection to proceeding with consensus either in the room or on Zoom.
See no movement on Zoom.
Seeing no objection, I declare that we have affirmed those votes. So let us move forward with our business for today. First, I would like to welcome and orient you to the people who are helping me, some of the people who are helping us today. First to our two parliamentarians, to Roy Mosley and to Melissa Tumeneng. Thank you very much, who are helping me and helping you. To our timekeeper, who is going to be helping to keep all of you on time as you are, as you're speaking from the microphones, which we will go over in a little bit. That is Richard Grabham. Thank you very much. He'll be holding up your signs for you. And then my right hand for many things as vice moderator, and one of the people that I just find it to be a good idea to listen to when they're telling me something in my ear is Jeannie Hobson. So friends, according to our bylaws, there are some matters that we just must attend to in our annual gathering. Those are the election of the conference moderator and vice moderator, which is a part of our agenda. The appointment of general synod delegates, members at large of the conference council, and members of other conference committees, which is also part of our agenda for today. Affirmation of those entrusted with leadership positions in the conference structure, which is also a part of our agenda and work. And then business items submitted by members as described in the standing rules. And for that, we have the range of light resolution from the Sequoia Association, as well as a business item submitted by the conference council, which is the proposed bylaw changes. And we will also be passing, of course, our goal budget, which is written down right here, and I skipped right over. So we will adopt our goal budget for the next fiscal year, which is also part of our agenda. So friends, we have about 2 hours to do this in. So we are going to use our time well to discuss and to discern, and then to conduct our business today. So all of these items have been posted and updated and re-updated on our website. We hosted discernment sessions on June 4th and developed a frequently asked questions document based on the budget and bylaw sessions of the discernment session. That is available under the reports in your guidebook app, and is as questions or points come up from, it is recommended you consider that and read that over, so that questions that are answered in there don't have to be re-answered in the limited time we have for discussion today. So with that, let us get down to business. Kim Williams, are you ready? Good, because you're going. Our first item of business today is the range of light proposal from the Sequoia Association, and I am pleased to welcome up Kim Williams to present that proposal for us today. You will be up here at the other podium.
Right.
So Kim, you have, welcome to the stage. You have 10 minutes if needed to present the proposal.
Great, thank you. All right, is this good? Okay, can you hear me? No. Okay, we good? No. No?
But just, it has a try one more time.
Test?
No.
You had mic malfunction on your annual gathering bingo card. Check that now. Okay, we're good. All right, I am Kim Williams and I am here representing the Sequoia Association to introduce you to this proposal. Humans need a dramatic shift from the point of view that the earth and all her resources are available for our sole benefit. Nature was created as a mutually sustaining ecosystem, which is not to be destroyed or abused. People of faith are stewards of the land in our care, and the land itself provides a sacred place to spiritually connect with God and all of God's creatures. We proclaim publicly, and you can probably all quote this with me, "The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it, the world and those who live in it." That's from Psalm 24. And as such, the Sequoia Association is presenting to you this resolution in which we would support the Range of Light National Monument as a designation that protects wildlife and enables peaceful recreation and restoration of our natural world. The proposed Range of Light National Monument is located in the unceded territory of the Miwok, Chukchansi, Western and Eastern Mono Monachi, and the Yokuts peoples, between Yosemite and Kings Canyon National Parks in the center of the longest interconnected wilderness in the lower 48 states. As such, it will recreate a 1.4 million acre interconnected habitat area and establish a sacred space in one of the most vital landscapes in the world, the Sierra Nevada. Because this stretch of wilderness is right in our backyard, we feel not only compelled, but called to the justice work of the protection of these wilderness landscapes, native plant species, which include our beloved and iconic giant sequoias, and wildlife. These sacred spaces of renewal, beauty, and peace are also our biggest partners in combating climate change. Preserving and protecting this large swath of wilderness also protects the trees that absorb carbon dioxide and emit oxygen. And I hardly need to explain why that's important, right? Okay. But it's all important not only to us as humans, but to the whole diversity of creation, especially at this time when our earth is in crisis. Our anthropocentric attitudes must change toward the extractive and exploitative ways in which we view natural resources. And we need to look for alternatives to or reduction of toxic chemicals and waste. The ways in which this proposal calls the Northern California Nevada Conference into action are by fostering love of God's creation, organizing walks in the forest and wilderness areas, planting trees, taking nature hikes, and attending summer camps. See me about that later. Subscribing to the UCC environmental justice newsletters and environmental newsletters from other origins. Sharing webinars and reading and studying about creation care and climate change as spiritual practices to equip us for creation care. Encouraging individuals to participate in grassroots action and congregations to adopt and support an endorsement of this proposal, communicating with federal agencies as appropriate, and expressing the value of the trees to the human community. Organizing locally by partnering and building community networks with conservationists and environmental groups, and finding common ground to restore damaged environments, and finally appointing a member or members of the congregation to attend meetings and represent the United Church of Christ at important gatherings regarding the management of our forests. The discernment session that was held on June 4th enabled us to clarify the language of this resolution to get nearer to the heart of it. And Deanna Wolf of the Unite the Parks will speak more to this in a moment. The earth is an original gift to sustain all life. We are responsible for restoring, protecting life, and supporting policies and people that further that protection. Your support of the Range of Light National Monument as a designation that protects wildlife and enables peaceful recreation and restoration of our natural world is a vivid witness that all of creation starts with God. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. This resolution has been changed and clarified from our discussion in the discernment session on June 4th. So to orient us to how this proposal has been so clarified, I now recognize Deanna Wolf, the Executive Director of Unite the Parks, who has been our subject matter expert as well as our presenter during that discernment session. Deanna, you have up to 5 minutes if you need them.
Okay, thank you. I just want to do a quick check that you can hear me.
Yes.
Someone signal, yes, okay, great. I'm in the proposed range of light right now, so it's really beautiful, as you can see. Well, if you can see me, that is. So at the discernment session, we got excellent feedback from the members that participated, and it was super helpful. So what we did is we changed about 6 things. We added a map which shows the monument area. We also showed that long interconnected wilderness, so it was more clear how unique this area is and how important it is. We also added policy details, so differentiating between what is a monument, what is a park, also what is a wilderness area and a forest. It can be really confusing, but there's an addendum which explains that, and then there's a link to the Antiquities Act, which in terms of the range of light national monuments, monuments are only possible because of that. So that's in there. We added clarity on the habitat corridors and the wilderness area. Again, that is a really unique thing about this is that, you know, we're right in the center of a place that if it's protected will create this integrated migratory corridor for wildlife and also for people to recreate. We clarified and shortened the action section, shaded between conference, congregation, and individual actions, and then we modified and removed the rights of nature section as well. So those are the main things we changed. The feedback was excellent, and thank you, Kim, for speaking to this. It was really lovely to hear what you had to say. So that's what we changed, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has them and it's appropriate to the forum.
So if they come up, that is a wonderful introduction to how that discussion will unfold and how questions will come up. So thank you, Deanna, for that, for walking us through those changes.
Okay.
So friends, it is now time for our discussion of the resolution. We have 20 minutes for discussion. If we need more, we may be able to take it, but that time will have to come from something and from somewhere. So for our format for discussion today, we will notice we have several microphones set up here, and we're also alternating between, we will alternate between those who are speaking pro or con or for or against, as well as we have a microphone for those who have a point of order or question. So if you would like to speak in favor of an item that is on the floor, you will come to the pro microphone, which is to your right. It is the microphone closest to the parliamentarians here. If you would like to speak against a motion on the floor, you will come to the microphone directly here in front of me. And then if you have a clarifying question or a point of order or whatever else doesn't fit at microphone 1 or 2, that is for microphone 3, the one that is closest to Daniel right here. So when you are speaking from the microphone, you will have up to 2 minutes. And Richard will be timing you here. So now I would like to open discussion, that 20 minutes of discussion. We will alternate between those who are in person and those who are attending by Zoom. So I will, as there are people available, I will first call on those who are speaking for a motion, then those who are speaking against that are in person, and then we will do the same pattern for those who are joining us by Zoom, and then we will repeat. And don't forget that as you are speaking at the microphone, for the record, you need to give your name, the church at which you are a member, and your local association. And if you do forget, I will nicely interrupt and remind you to share that with us. So friends, discussion is open on the range of light resolution. I do not see anyone at the microphones here in person. Do we have anyone speaking in favor on Zoom?
There's not an in favor, there's a technical question, which is related to tech pieces that I would share now, which was a question about if there were maps or other materials from the addendum, which is in the guidebook along with the rest of the materials in the businesses and reports. That addendum is in the reports and range of light addendum.
So the addendum to the resolution is in the reports section of your guidebook app. I recognize the question at microphone 3.
I have a clarifying question.
Okay.
Barbara Peranto, I'm the pastor at First Congregational Church of San Rafael. I am in the Golden Gate Association. My question is to clarify, maybe for some other folks, maybe that don't understand. Okay, so we have up here my geography map. We have Yosemite, we got Sequoia down here, and then they are owned by the
So we have Sequoia and Kings Canyon.
and Kings Canyon, and Kings Canyon, and they are owned by the internal the
They are
national
run by
parks,
the Park Service.
the Park Service. So then in between, you have a lot of different lands that are owned by the Forest Service underneath the agricultural department, which the agricultural department is more concerned with bringing mining out of there, logging out of there, perhaps oil out of there. They want to use the land, not preserve the land. And then so this proposal wants to unite that, so it all falls underneath the National Park Service, not National Monument, National Park Service. Correct? So we preserve the land, we're not using the land.
Well,
Is that correct?
So I'd like to turn to our content expert, to Deanna Wolf, to give that answer if she is still available.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. You can hear me.
Yes.
Great question. And it's really a common question. You got a lot of that right. So when you make a national monument, it could be managed by the Park Service or it can be managed by the Forest Service. We think the Park Service is a better manager, right? Their job is really protecting wildlife and protecting nature, and then, encouraging recreation and enjoyment. And we like that. It gets a little complicated when you get, further up the ladder in terms of Congress, and trying to make an argument there of a land transfer is difficult. And so what I'm saying is, we can ask for Park Service management, but we may not get it. So I'm getting a little wonky right here, but let's say we do get it. Well, the language of the legislation will say who the manager is, and we will advocate for the Park Service as the manager, but we may not get it. So what that means is that the language that goes with the proposal needs to be specific in terms of saying it's there for protection for people and wildlife as a first priority, as opposed to the extractive uses that you mentioned. So I hope that's clear. I hope that didn't make it more confusing. So there's what we want, basically, and there's what we might actually get. And they may not be the same things, is basically what I'm saying.
And part of this is that it unites this under a wilderness designation, correct? That is more fully described in the.
This is another great question. Is it okay if I answer it?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So wilderness designation, and this is in the addendum because these questions came up when we last spoke about it. Wilderness designations are great, and they're a very wonderful protection. They do require an act of Congress, which means a bill has to pass the House and the Senate, and they're very specific with what they indicate. We're again just advocating for a national monument, and that comes under the hub of the Antiquities Act. Again, there's the link to the act, which Theodore Roosevelt signed into law. And that can get us a lot of different things. hopefully it gets us a lot of protections. But monuments can be a lot of different things. They can be statues, they can be houses, or they can be big land expanses like the Grand Canyon, which started as a national monument. So it's sort of a stepping stone to a national park. And the benefit, why choose this path is because presidents can designate national monuments, and Congress can do that as well. But the advantage is if we can't get Congress to successfully do this, we can turn to the president and say, would you please designate this as a national monument? So that's the benefit there. Again, wilderness and parks require an act of Congress, which means a bill has to pass the House and the Senate and be signed into law, which is a big lift. And not that what we're asking is an easy lift. It's a pretty big lift too, but we still hope to get that. So I hope that's clear. And I'm going to be quiet and see if there's questions. Thank you for the good question.
Thank you, Deanna. And I now recognize the in-person microphone number 3.
Yes, Reverend Sophia DeWitt, First Congregational Church of Alameda in the Bay Association. As our content expert just shared, because national monuments are generally declared by the president under the Antiquities Act of 1906, why does our resolution not specifically request the conference to petition President Biden to declare the Range of Light National Monument? Thanks.
Would you like to answer or turn to someone else?
I don't have an answer for that.
So does
I'm happy.
Deanna, you have a-
Yeah, I'm
yes.
happy to answer that. That's a great question. We have had actually a lot of different organizations reach out, write letters to the president. And I wish it was really effective, but it's unfortunately not. The path to build support with the president is actually via members of Congress. So the way that we do that is we build support in our communities, and again, very grassroots oriented. It takes a long time. I've written letters to President Biden. He hasn't written me back yet, but so I've been working on this for almost 9 years, and it has been a really strong grassroots effort. So what matters is building support and knowledge and awareness in local communities, local churches, and then just working from there up. So that, next steps are, again, reaching out to local federal agencies, reaching out to representatives, or reaching out to me and coordinating an effort where we can generate support. But it really is, people power is really important. It's central to getting something like this done. And a letter to the president is great. It's just not as effective as we'd like it to be. I hope that answers that question, but it is a great idea, and I wish it was more effective, but it's not.
All right. Thank you, Deanna. Do we have any discussion from the Zoom rooms? Okay. Let's see. I recognize microphone 3.
Hi, Jay Perrine from First Congregational Church San Jose, Santa Clara Association. Simple question: does a yes vote commit any money from this organization or time and labor of the NCNC on an ongoing basis? Or is it just a certificate that says we like this idea?
Kim, would you like to answer that?
So, as far as, to my knowledge, at this point, what we're doing is we are having the actions that we are expecting once there's a yes vote are for things like having a better communication in our churches about these kinds of justice issues, also organizing and partnering and showing up when it comes to wanting to support getting this to go through with Congress and things like that. The funding for this would be made in accordance to any affected agencies on what funds would be available, but I don't think that, and Deanna, I want to clarify on that. I don't think that we identified areas where there would be a lot of need for funding at this time.
Correct. This is about support in terms of building grassroots support and support from the church, and voices and voices, not fundraising. So
it does call for our churches to, it does, call for our churches to consider and to take up some things which will take up their resources of time and energy. It does not appropriate conference financial resources at this time. Is there any discussion from Zoom? I see no movement toward the microphones, so I will now call for the vote. Daniel, would you please open the voting on the range of light resolution? You will have 90 seconds unless more time is needed.
%79%. Like, close or open? Close or stay open? 80 ballots.
Let's extend for 15 seconds. You may have to go to, if you go to next vote after the previous vote, then you'll see resolution, and you should see, if you click on resolution, you should see the vote. Voting has closed on the resolution.
Yeah, I could do that. Oh.
I apologize for not saying this before, but this is an administrative action, which as described in our bylaws requires, this is not an administrative action. That is, I don't know why that was, I'm on the wrong part. This is a position statement. So this, which requires a 2/3 majority to pass. We had, for yeses, there were 81. For noes, there were 2. The resolution has passed. I would like to now recognize Kim for an additional 2 minutes.
An additional 2 minutes. Okay, we are going to, this is gonna happen here. So Camp Tamarack is looking for counselors. You all just said that we are gonna get outside more. So we need 2 more counselors for the junior high, senior high camp. And so if you know anybody who would be amazing with youth, just get in touch with me. We're gonna have a great time. Or Jeannie. It is the last week of July. So, and if you are wanting to escape some heat, that is the best way to do it because it is nice up there in the last week of July. It's beautiful temperatures. So
Our very own Kim Williams is directing this
I am
camp.
directing this camp.
Yours
yes,
truly
and
is chaplaining this camp. So if this looks like fun,
If this
join
looks
us.
like fun, join us. If it doesn't, you haven't spent enough time with us.
And you will get to it.
Okay.
Thank you. Kim.
Thank you. Oh, yes, and the best food that you'll get all summer long. If you come to Camp Tamarack, then Chef Kimberly is going to be making all of the meals and we eat well. I am just saying it's worth it just to go up there to have the meals we have. So join us.
And it's not just the staff that say that, the kids come for the
Kids
food as
love
well.
it. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you as well to Deanna for all of your help and support for us, helping us get to this point as well. We know our work together will continue. I would now like to invite up our treasurer, Rob Parrish, to present our next business item, which is our 2023 goal budget. Rob, you will have up to 10 minutes if you need them to present the budget.
Hello, everyone. I know this is the part of the conference that you've been excitedly looking forward to. Even though our Reverend Moderator put me at the last of the list, we are here anyway. So I direct you to your guidebook. That's the best way probably for you to view the budget that we're proposing. It might be easier. It is on the screen here. If you're coming in by Zoom, it'll be much easier for you probably to see that. So our budget we're proposing today is for the 2023 year. That begins January through December of 2023. And we are proposing to you today to vote on an OCWM basic support for the calendar year at $620,000. Per capita giving at $20,000. We have a grant from the United Church Fund, Brown Endowment, that we've requested at $10,000. We'll talk about that more in a few moments. We are expecting 25,000 Friends of the Conference. That's kind of based on what we're experienced in 2021. We are budgeting 150,000 to come out of the NCNC Endowment Fund. The Endowment Fund, if you don't know what that is a combination of the Church and Clergy Fund we used to have. The funds from that fund are combined with the sale of Camp Kaz. Those funds have been put together into the NCNC Endowment Fund. And we are expecting to have at least $150,000 of income on that fund, assuming that the stock market doesn't totally crash this year. We may have to revise that number if things continue to look poorly. And we have just interest and dividends of 10. So our gross budget amount is $835,000 in the proposed budget. The expense side is how we propose to use those funds in 2023. We give out 10% of that OCWM amount goes to the wider church support at our national level. 2% goes back to our various associations in the conference. So that's $74,000 of the budget. Personnel budget is $552,430.48. The salary portion of that budget is for our conference minister, our ACMs, and our office administrator, program administrator. And that amounts to $394,286.15. That's based on a 4.5% COLA increase. And as you know, that sounds maybe a little high, but with an 8.6% inflation rate right now, that's probably a minimum amount we should be doing. We have workers' compensation, health insurance, payroll taxes, pension contributions. That's all part of the personnel budget. And we have some professional development costs there of $2,500. And those are built into the agreements with our conference ministers for their continuing education and other professional commitments that they have to make for development. Professional fees, $34,300. That includes background checks. And if you heard earlier this morning, we talked about the life scans, and that additional cost is built into this amount. Legal fees, we just budgeted $3,000 in the budget. That we don't have anything specific for that, but we have to allow some cost for legal fees. It comes up almost every year, some form or another. Accounting and audit support is $27,500. So total professional fees of $34,300 is the proposed budget. Meetings and travel, that amount is $39,370. That includes $15,000 for mileage, parking, and local transportation, $10,250 for airlines and distance travel. Room and board, $5,120 per diems, and general synod representation of $9,000. The general synod occurs in 2023. We budget that between the 2 years. It happens biannually, so part of that budget's in the 2022 budget. The $9,000 completes the budget for the synod for that 2023 year. Program services, $25,000 is the budget for that, and we have $15,000 is budgeted under grants. That's proposed to go to the Making Amends meeting. Conference witness support, $20,000. That's justice witness, church and clergy, and other support. Then we have $10,000 support for ministers. That's the Brown Endowment grant that we talked about earlier, the $10,000. Then we have general office and business expenses amounting to $9,251 in the budget. Just quickly, office supplies of $1,351, postage $500, $1,500 for printing and copying. The bigger numbers, dues and membership, $1,800. And we have credit card and credit fees of $2,200. Occupancy is at rent at $26,400. Phone software and internet amounts to $9,000. We have equipment purchases. The line item here for depreciation really should be up under equipment purchase and leases. It's an amount we budget for replacement of equipment that breaks down or computers that have to be replaced during the year. And we have some just general repair and maintenance of $300. Lastly is insurance expense, $15,000, property and liability insurance, and $2,300 for auto insurance. So that brings the total disbursement $835,000, which matches the proposed total income for the 2023 year. So that rounds out our proposed budget for 2023. So I open it up then for any questions.
All right, so we have, thank you, Rob. So this, so our goal budget comes from the council, so we do not need a second. This is an administrative action which needs a simple majority to pass. We have 10 minutes for discussion if it is needed. Again, please remember that to come forward to the microphone on the right to speak for the proposal. Please come to the microphone in front of me to speak against the proposal, or to microphone number 3 closest to Daniel to ask a clarifying question. I now recognize microphone 3 with a question.
Yes, I'm Carol Berriger, Grace North Church Bay Association. Rob, it says under association support, there's about $12,000 up under grants. Could you explain how that is being handled when we have two associations that don't really function in the same way as associations anymore? How is that money dispersed as opposed to the way it was always dispersed?
My understanding, excuse me, my understanding is that it will be dispersed to the associations that exist. Is that correct?
I think there is, can we turn to our conference minister, Reverend Dr. Diane Weibel, to answer this question?
Yes. For the associations that have turned all of their functions over to the conference, we keep that money so that if there's a member in discernment or who needs a psychological assessment, then the 1/3 is actually paid by the conference. And if there's any other expenses like that, we have the funds then to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Daniel, is there any discussion from Zoom?
I have asked them if there is. There is no chat indicating it right now.
Okay. I'm seeing no movement toward any of the microphones. Daniel, will you please open? So I declare the discussion closed and we will now begin voting. Daniel, will you please open the voting on our 2023 goal budget?
Voting is open.
We will have 90 seconds for this vote unless we need to extend. So you need to go to next vote if you haven't already done so. Or refresh your screen.
Oh, I have to vote myself. One in. There's 81 and we're at 90 seconds.
Let's extend for 20 seconds and then voting will close. Voting has closed. So for those who have voted yes, there are 79 yes votes and there is 1 abstention. So the goal budget for 2023 has passed. Thank you all. Thank you all. I would now like to, for our next business item, I'd like to invite up Barb Colliander, who will be presenting our proposed bylaw changes.
Thank you. I'm not as tall as Kim. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Barb Colliander with Grace Community Church, UCC North Fork. The acronym for that is GCC-UCC-NF. So keep that in mind when you're seeing acronyms there. It is good to be here in person with people, and I want to say a special thanks for those who joined us in Santa Cruz at Peace UCC, and those in Fresno at the Big Red Church, and of course, all those that are individually online. It's so good to have us all together in some way. So the bylaws amendments. I want to give a little bit of a background, if that's okay, to introduce that. Rob mentioned, of course, that our budget is January through December. And we've had that for a few years. Prior to that, our fiscal year was July through June. And we switched to the January through December fiscal year so it would match the church's budgets more. How many of you have, your church has a budget January through December? How many of you have, your church has a different? How many of you don't know? Okay. Anyhow, when we were doing a kind of a study on the budget, and the other piece of it was that the summer camp program with the July budget was split. So our income came in one fiscal year, if you're with me on this, and the expenses were in the next fiscal year. So now with the January through December fiscal year, number one, we are in sync with many of the churches, and our summer program budget is all in one. The season is all in 1 year. Anyhow, when we implemented the budget for the January through December fiscal year, we continued to approve the annual budget at a June annual gathering. As a result, we've had to develop the budget in March and approve the next calendar year budget in June. This required us to draft that budget by guessing at some income and expenses for the rest of the current year without actual figures. And I think it was nice that Rob didn't mention that this budget was developed based on what we know for January, February, and March for 2022. We developed the 2023 budget. Obviously, or not, I should say, it's obviously to me, but a better option would be to approve the budget later in the year. So to make our budget approval process more viable, the Conference Council is recommending the following two complementary amendments. I'm going to go through all of the amendments that we have, but these two kind of go together here. It is under Article 5. Are you putting it up there? Good. Okay, thank you. Article 5, Section 1. Thank you. It's under the matters to be attended to at the annual meeting include, we are suggesting to delete the adoption of the goal budget for the next fiscal year. And then we have a new Section 2, annual gathering and annual meeting, a second annual meeting, and the language you'll see there. A second annual meeting will occur in the fall to present a draft goal budget for the fiscal year, January through December. Now, these changes will allow us to more accurately update our income and expense figures to determine the realistic budget for the following year. If this passes, it will be effective for the 2024 budget determined in 2023, because we just passed the 2023 budget. During the discernment session, it was pointed out that we need to identify each of the annual meetings, because now it's saying here a second annual meeting. So when we refer to it, is it going to be first and second, or somebody suggested spring and fall, or program and budget annual meeting, whatever. It is generally understood that the later budget annual meeting will be virtual. Okay. The second amendment has to do with the audit.
want to scroll to that. It is under Article 9, Section 5. And it reads, the conference, she's getting there. The Conference Council must order an annual review of the corporation's financial records. The new language added to that, how are we doing? Section 9. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, you've got it. Thank you. Sorry. New language, once every 2 years, that covers the most recent fiscal year. Now, the rest of that section is deleted, and then oh no, it was the other one that had the renumbering of sections, okay? So a little background on this. This amendment allows the Conference Council to conduct an audit at least every 2 years. It was suggested by the Finance and Business Administration and supported by the Conference Council that we do not need an audit each year, as we have an outside bookkeeping and accounting firm to provide accurate financial records. Skipping an audit would be a cost savings as well. We have just completed the 2020 audit for the conference. We are recommending that we skip the 2021 audit and continue with an audit in 2022, and henceforth an audit at least every other year. Our audit firm, Healy and Associates, have agreed to this practice and indicate that they could work with this policy. They also mentioned to us that they would actually look at it 6 months prior to the audit year to just assure accuracy for that. There was a question at the discernment session about the potential need for an audit during an off year. Should we need to apply for grants or have some proof of an audit? In that case, if that's needed, the Conference Council will be able to make a decision and conduct an audit as requested. So with that, Reverend Moderator, I turn it to you.
Thank you, Barb. We will now begin discussion for the proposed bylaw change. We will have up to 15 minutes for discussion, unless more is needed, although that time will have to come from somewhere.
Reverend Moderator, I have 2 amendments to this to present. My name is Ginny Hobson. I'm your Vice Moderator. I'm also a member of First Congregational Church of Fresno, known as the Big Red, and Sequoia Association. So the first amendment is to the Article 5, Section 2, where it says annual gathering and annual meeting. Got it? Okay. So we are proposing a friendly amendment to change Section 2 title to be second annual meeting, rather than including the annual gathering, because what we are doing here is the annual gathering. What we need to do in September is a meeting to approve the budget and any business items. So in the fall, I'm sorry, what did I say? Oh, in the fall, sorry. And we don't need to have the entire annual meeting. So that's the reason for the change. And it is a friendly amendment. And I know Reverend Moderator will take care of that in a second.
On behalf of the bylaw committee, you can hear me.
Okay, no.
On behalf of the bylaw committee, we accept that friendly amendment.
All right. So since this is a friendly amendment, we do not have to vote on this, and we will vote on the proposal as amended.
The second friendly amendment is on the audit committee portion. Again, this is a friendly amendment. And it's to remove the word annual. This came out of the discernment session because it was confusing. So we're removing the word annual and we're adding before the word once at least. That way it gives more flexibility to Conference Council to be able to do an audit on an annual basis if necessary, but it is required that we do one at least every 2 years.
On behalf of the bylaw committee, we accept that friendly amendment as well.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you so much, bylaw committee. So because these were both friendly amendments, we are not voting on amendments. We are considering the proposal as amended. So discussion is now open or continues for the proposed bylaw changes as presented and amended. I recognize microphone 3.
Jack Dawson, Elk Grove, UCC, defunct Sacramento Valley Association. I know, that was a joke.
Of the beloved Sacramento
All right,
Valley
all right.
Association.
My question is on the first friendly amendment, wherever that is. I thought were we not eliminating annual gathering and just have it say second annual meeting?
Yes.
But does that'll come out later?
So, well, we are still having an annual gathering.
But the only thing is responding to is a second annual meeting.
That's right.
Right?
That's correct.
That's right. So
But we're leaving both of those in there? Yes, yes, I'm just asking. Should it both be in there?
This question will be answered momentarily.
Jeannie, so the amendment will read that we take out annual gathering and we'll say second annual meeting.
In the title.
In the title.
Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel, is there any discussion from any of the Zoom participants?
Nothing has been indicated.
Nothing is indicated from the Zoom rooms. I'm seeing no movement yet. I am seeing some movement to a microphone. Microphone 3.
I'm Jan Swain. I'm here from Skyland Community Church and Santa Clara Association. I thought that a couple years ago when we were talking maybe in this area, I thought there was some question about having enough time to get all the numbers right. And so I just want to, I don't even know if anybody remembers that, but I just want to be sure that we're not sort of closing down something too tight for some group. I just want to kind of bring up this question so that people are getting the committees who need to get the numbers together can get them together in the right amount of time. And I realize I know you thought about this ahead, but because I have this vague memory of something we did a couple years ago, then I'm just wanting to ask that we be sure that we have enough time to get the numbers together for that, for that report, that year, the following year, whatever it is.
So unless somebody would like to add on to the point of these amendments is they actually give us more time than we have been allowed. So this gives us more time throughout the year to put this together. So instead of needing it done by June, we will do it in the fall to pass it for next year and have more information to work from and more time to put it together.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Recognizing microphone 3.
Jay Perrine, First Congregational Church San Jose, Santa Clara section. I want to segue on what she was asking, and I want to recall some data from the discernment session. My understanding is the whole reason to review this again in the fall is a possible $20,000 change. $20,000 on an $835,000 budget is 2%. I think this is a lot of work to get everybody here. It would seem simpler to put a $20,000 contingency on the budget and then we have it. And I doubt we'd work with that. It's mostly fixed expenses. It seems like a lot of work to track 20,000 possible variation.
Can I clarify where this $20,000 number is coming from?
From the discernment session, whatever it was, a month ago that we had on Saturday.
Is this a question about whether the meeting would be held in person or virtually? Is that, I'm trying to understand the question so I can direct it best.
Let's see, I'm raising an efficiency question and I'm saying from the discernment session, during there, somebody answered, the concern is the expenses could vary by $20,000 from what's being budgeted. If that was a correct statement, that's a worry of 2% to get everybody together to say, well, we spent a couple $1,000s here or there. And I'm saying, from what I can see in the budget and the line items, these are mostly fixed. You know, we know what the rent's gonna be, we know the salaries, we know the overhead.
I think
What could go wrong? And it's a lot of work to get everybody together to say, well, we need $3,000 more.
So one part of your, so to answer one part, and I'm gonna ask, and if he wants to get towards the microphone, I'm gonna ask Rob Parrish to answer the other part of it. But for one part of it is the second meeting isn't an in-person meeting. This will be a virtual meeting, which does not incur additional cost to the conference. So this is, if we're able to host it virtually as a virtual one-day meeting on a Saturday, this is already, the conference already has the resources. This would be no additional cost to the conference. But then as far as how much the budget and expenses and how much we might know is different from spring to fall, I'd like to turn to our treasurer, Rob Parrish.
I can't recall exactly where the 20,000 number may have come from in the conversation, but I think that came from the idea that we would have a budget presented in the June annual gathering, and then we would come back in the fall if there was a large enough change to the budget to require it to be updated and corrected. But our amendment here bypasses all that completely. It's just saying, instead of voting on the budget at all at the annual gathering, it will be presented in the fall. And by doing that, we have, at least 7 months worth of actual results to work from to budget the next year. And we have a much smaller chance of having a large swing between what we're proposing in the budget and what's actually happening the next year. We're just going to be in a better place to have a more accurate budget. So I don't know that the 20,000 is going to be relevant in this situation at all, or any number for that matter. If we present a budget in the fall, and if that budget is passed, and it turns out that economic changes occur or something happens in the economy or in the operations of the ministry of the conference that significantly change that budget, then the conference council would be addressing the budget change. Is that right?
Yeah. If I may.
Please. I'd like to also recognize Diane.
I think what I might be remembering about the $20,000 had to do with, we put in the per capita line item for Justice and Witness Ministries. And because all of our churches have not been participating in the $5 per capita, we've not received, we're budgeting $20,000, but if we don't receive that in per capita contributions, that will not be spent. So that's where we were talking about the $20,000 that might not be spent. I don't know if somehow maybe those two were conflated somehow.
Thank you. Daniel, is there any discussion from any of the Zoom participants? Okay. Microphone 3.
Do I need to say who I am and where I'm
Yes,
from again?
please.
Okay, Barbara Carranzo, First Congregational Church of San Rafael, Golden Gate Association. So my question is, shouldn't there be somewhere up here where it says that it is virtual or Zoom or something? No?
So
we're just assuming it's virtual?
Well, so we can, with it not being in there, it's not specified, we are not limited to it. And we can put in virtual, and then no matter what
okay.
circumstances come up, we are obligated to do virtual.
Okay.
So with it not saying we can meet virtual, we can meet in any way that
Okay.
satisfies the meeting requirements of our annual gathering.
Ruby, that's why I want the clarification.
Thank you for your
Thank
question.
you.
Yes. I'm not seeing any movement toward the microphones. So we will close discussion and proceed with our vote. Daniel, please open the voting on our bylaw change. Remember, we are voting on the bylaw changes as presented and amended. This is on all of the changes all together. This is the one vote on the bylaw change. You will have 90 seconds to vote, unless we need to extend. This is an administrative action as described, but as described in our bylaws, a change to our bylaws takes a 2/3 majority to pass. Voting is now closed. So with 81 votes total, the yeses there are 80 yeses and 1 no and 0 abstentions. So the bylaw amendment has passed. Thank you all. For a very brief interlude, I would just like to present the very unofficial moderator's official swag award to the Not Today Satan Fly Swatters. I don't know if she wrote it, but I do know the first place I heard Not Today Satan was from the drag queen Bianca Del Rio. And anytime you have a drag queen quoted on your giveaway at your church conference, you are in the right church. I would like to request, since we will now virtually have a fall gathering though, if we could get a holiday version for those of us that sweat it out in Fresno, I would like it to say, "Not today, Santa." Okay, back to business. So the next item before us is to appoint the nomination slate. I would like to invite up Epi Ancabo.
Well, I'm hoping this one is not going to take too long. Let's just take a deep breath. I am Epi Ancabo, member of Faith Community Church, UCC Oakland Bay Association, also a member of the Conference Council, and member of the Committee on Leadership Recruitment for the conference. Yes, and that's why I am here. And along with members of the committee, Melissa Tumaneng, raise your hand, please. Akiko Miyake Stoner, where are you? Richard Brown, and Jeannie, members of the committee. And on their behalf, I proudly present the slate of candidates for election. First, the moderator, Reverend Moderator, at this point to continue on. Thank you. And Jeannie to continue on as Vice Moderator. And some of the conference council members are continuing, and 3 or 4 of them are coming in. And members of the committee, different sections, the alphabet A, B, C, D, and more, Justice Witness, Fab C. I was told that I'm not supposed to be saying acronyms, but I think because I probably am given time, I don't want Richard to raise his times up. 10 seconds. No, I need more than that. Thank you. We tried to make sure that these candidates that we're presenting to you are diverse. We are very intentional in making sure we have 30 and under. And definitely all of this group of committed, very cheerful and happy people have abilities to share for our work of the ministry of the Northern California Nevada Conference. And I thank you all for those who have submitted names to us, especially the Reverend Dr. Weibel, Diane Weibel, and chairs of the different sections, thank you. And for those of you that have finished their term, thank you. And I hope, I don't want to say recycle, but I don't want to say that, but I hope you will continue serving in other capacities. As you can see or have noticed that we have a lot of openings, we definitely need you. Please feel in your heart, hear the call. And I prayerfully hope that you consider coming into the midst of all of your brothers and sisters that are serving in our conference. And if you are able to, or you have some folks, you may approach any of us and we would gladly, definitely include you. Reverend Dr. Diane, I really thank you for all of the resources, your guidance. And I know it's been hard. It's been not difficult, but it's been a long process and we're still working on that. It does not end. Please feel free. Please listen to your heart. Listen to God, our God that is still speaking to you and to me and to us. So Reverend Moderator Reagan, on behalf of the committee, I submit this report, and all of you, I urge you for its adoption.
All right. So there is one minor typo to correct on the slate, just under the Synod delegates, Jeannie Hobson, the Sequoia Association is still claiming her and will not give her up. So she is not part of the Golden Gate Association.
No, GGA respectfully requests.
And we adamantly refuse.
There's also, I heard from folks, there's confusion over the placement of someone who is listed in, another person who's listed in GGA that should be in Santa Clara, but the person is still on the slate.
So just to clarify, the person, which is what we are, the person who is appointed there, which is what we are voting on, the person is correct, even if their association is incorrect. Daniel, please begin vote. Or there is a question. We are not beginning voting. Or we are not. We're gonna get there. Okay, so
We can open it. Call.
let us now proceed with the affirmation of the nomination slate. Daniel, please open the voting.
Hold on, I clicked the wrong button.
I
Cool.
got-
Nope, it's there.
No,
Got it.
you clicked the right button.
Yep. See, it's the last vote. It's gotta be fun, right?
There will be 90 seconds for the vote unless more time is needed.
Are you ready to serve us? Oh, Joy Davis. Oh, you are, okay. Thank you. That's great. All right.
Dueling timers.
While we're waiting, you can turn to your neighbor and describe your favorite, what your favorite ringtone is, your favorite timer to interrupt the meeting is. So with 80 votes cast, I am happy to announce that the nomination slate has passed unanimously with 80 yeses. At this time, I'd like to recognize Epi for an additional 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm also a member of the Personnel Committee. So I would like to request all of you or some of you to please send to the Personnel Committee, ncncucc.org, any feedback, because as not a mandate, but it's required that we have to do at least every 2 years professional evaluation on our beloved Reverend Dr. Diane Weibel. So please do that. And it's going to be followed up with an article and a newsletter. So please do, we need your feedback. You are a part of the evaluation process. Thank you.
Thank you, Epi. So, and I would just like a moment of personal privilege with the slate being approved. Now that all of the people who this is their first gathering, in-person annual gathering with, or hybrid annual gathering with NCNC. Now that there is a moderator for next time, and it won't be you for the next in-person gathering. Even if you are brand new to the conference, you are bringing gifts from everywhere you are coming. Please bring them, bring your perspective. I would just say for me personally, it has been a joy to serve on the council and in this role, and a great way to get connected to and plugged into a lot of the exciting work of the conference. So I do highly recommend that when Epi and people on the recruiting committee call you, please answer.
Consider it and then say yes.
So prayerfully consider your positive answer. So at this time, I'd like to invite up the Reverend Dr. Diane Weibel.
Have I told you all yet that this is the best conference in the United Church of Christ? I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has served, who is serving, and who has agreed to serve. And then I would also like to offer a prayer of blessing. So at this point, can I invite everyone who has served in any function, in any role in the conference, and will be ending that term, to please stand up. Keep standing. Could I now invite anyone who has agreed to continue to serve in the role that they're in to please stand up? And please remain standing. And I would like to invite everyone who will be beginning a new term, joining one of our boards or committees, or as a General Synod delegate, to please stand and remain standing. We are blessed by the ministry, by your wisdom, by your gifts, by everything that you bring to this conference, and we are grateful for your service. Let us pray. O Holy One, we come before you this day with thanksgiving and praise for those who have said yes, for those who have stepped forward to say they want to serve in ministry in the work of the Northern California Nevada Conference of the United Church of Christ. We are so grateful for the gifts, for the wisdom, for the experience, for the compassion, for the love that is in this room. We are so grateful for all who have said yes, all who have given so much of their time and their talent, and who have said yes to giving of their time and their talent. God, we call on you. We call on the Holy Spirit to be present in this work that we do, which is so crucial as we seek to find those ways to be the hands and feet of Christ in our communities, in our conference, and in the world. Please, God, bless the work of all of these individuals who have volunteered their time and who have said yes. Thank you, God, for always being in our midst, always being present, always helping us to hear one another, helping us to open our hearts, helping us to listen in new ways with new ears. Thank you, God, for all the ways you care for us and love us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Friends, thank you so much. We are slightly ahead of schedule. We will be able to conclude a little early. We still have just a couple of announcements and things, and I would like to recognize Jeannie for an additional minute as well.
We have thanked many people today, and there are numerous people that we have not thanked. And one of those people is our moderator. I think if you've ever been a moderator, you know what that entails. If you have never been a moderator, it's time to say yes. Through the times of pandemic and coming together after 2.5, 3 years together in a in-person meeting along with being a hybrid meeting has been an incredible task. And leading that has been Reverend Reagan Baker. And I think we need to give him a great big
Thank you all so much. A special shout out to the holy hecklers in the very back. So thank you all. It has been quite a time to be moderator. So yes, if I can do it, you can do it too. But that said, it has been plenty of stress, I will not lie to you, but it has also been a joy, and it is only worth it to do it for you all. So it has been a pleasure as well. So thank you. I have a few announcements and then we will be able to conclude. So just a couple of things. Pastor Ann Jefferson is requesting that all of the worship team and any participants in tomorrow's worship meet right here at 8:15 tomorrow morning. Don't forget that tomorrow morning after our worship, I'm already elected for next year, our association meetings. And then also tomorrow, for all of you that are on conference council and new to conference council, welcome, and you have a meeting tomorrow. So that will be tomorrow during breakfast, and we have the president's dining room in the cafeteria downstairs reserved for that meeting. And that will be at, the time is coming to me now, 7:30.
Do we know the instructions for checking out?
Do we know the instructions for checking out? That is a great question that I don't have the answer to.
Probably the standard.
Does anybody remember what we do to check
Does
out?
anybody remember what we do to check out? And if they do, it would be great if they moved toward a microphone.
I'm going based on my memory. Is that okay?
Hey,
Your memory is better than whatever else we have right now. I recognize Daniel.
I'm going based on my memory, and I'm also going to kind of sneakily look over at Joy. So we need to be out of there is actually a time, there's a checkout time in your guidebook app. We need to be out of our rooms by that time. There is no reason why you cannot be out of your room before that time. You just can't still be in your room after that time. So if you're staying on campus in the housing, whatever that time is, that is your get out of there time. But feel free to pack up beforehand around lunch. You'll notice that our schedule tomorrow is generous anyway, so I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. But I also will remember that you get to keep this. This is a fun token. Hang it with pride. You get to keep your card because it's going to get turned off. Don't have to worry about that. Your linens should be like stripped and in the room, but you don't have to like set them outside. You don't have to take them anywhere. Don't do stuff like that. Same thing with towels. They can still be in the room. Make sure that the outside door to your suite is closed, but the inside doors didn't have anything I remember from the past. Your parking permit expires, so have fun. Try parking later and you'll get a ticket. We can't do anything about that.
Take your trash out.
Take your trash out to the bins, Richard is telling me. Joy is shaking her head saying no.
No.
I don't remember taking that myself, so I don't know. Joy's coming to a microphone.
Oh, I don't have a.
Turn it on.
Hold on.
There you go.
You're good.
As I recall, we don't take out garbage. I don't think you really actually have to strip the bed. We already had to make the bed. Come on, do we have to strip the bed?
Here we go.
Okay, but I do want to say one thing is, you know, the part about, I know you're probably going to contradict me, but the part about getting out of your room, it's not really like such a strict time, except that they're going to turn your key off. So you know, you won't be able.
So you still need to be out here.
Well, if you leave the doors open.
We recognize
Bravo.
So recognizing Nathan.
So you guys don't necessarily have to strip everything. It's honestly whatever easiest for you guys. And as for the rooms, so yes, the locks, your key cards will be shut off. So you don't technically have to be out of the room at the time. We do highly suggest it because if you do get locked out, you will not be able to get back inside. We're not going to be necessarily checking this. We're not going to be checking the rooms and like cleaning them the second after you guys leave. The same for trash. You guys don't necessarily need to. If you guys feel like you want to, that's more than, you know, we would definitely appreciate that, but don't feel the need to do so. And then, yeah, the parking permit's already been established, everything like that.
And our keys get turned off when?
Your keys should get turned off like around the checkout time that you guys are supposed to be leaving.
10:30.
So around, I'd say 10:45 to 11, give or take, but just to be on the safe side, I say 10:45 is when you guys' keys should theoretically shut off.
And 10:30 to 10:45 is what it says in the guidebook app for it, so that'd be easy for, or that's there for us to follow. So, thank you, Nathan, and you and all of the staff here have been amazing. Thank you so much for all of your help and support. I do not sense any other requests for time or questions coming to the microphone. So I'm going to adjourn us while we are still there. So thank you all, and our business session is now concluded. Thank you. Dinner starts at 5:30.